For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tell Me. And this evening I'm sitting in the big chair. Carlisle Powell is on a virtual platform. He will join us from overseas. And of course, if you hear me sound a bit hoarse because I'm nursing a cold that I hope to fully extricate from my body in the next day or so. So, all right, just bear with us. Carlisle, you can hear us?
I'm hearing you beautifully. You sound like a powerful champion in that chair.
All right, good evening, Tulu. How are you?
Good evening, my brother. It's good to be back. It's good to have Ambassador Powell with us this evening. And good evening to Jetzel Barton. You know, young lady by the name of Jetzel Barton, Dr. Daly?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, you know very well.
Yes.
Okay. I met her for the first time recently, so good evening to her. She said that she is an ardent listener to programs. Mm-hmm. And then good evening to Mrs. Phillip and the rest of the family of our good friend and departed brother, Brother Philip. Good evening to Romello, Rhonda, Sylvia, Helena, Mavis, Joyce, Lavanda, and Bayo. Welcome to Tell Me.
All right. And Mr. Powell, any greetings?
Of course, it's a lovely evening, and I want to extend greetings as usual to all of my mother's children, Mary, Glenda, Mervet, the girls, and their families, and of course, Everett and Trevor. Hope you're having a absolutely wonderful evening this evening. And to some people who I've met by telephone and others who I've met for the very first time. Today I met a gentleman on a boat. You know, I like adventure, so I jumped on the boat and I went to St. Martin. By the way, we come playing home for $30 easy dollars. From Anguilla to St. Martin is the same $30, but it's in US. And you have departure tax both ways.
Okay.
I met a gentleman on the boat coming back over to Anguilla. And when I came in, I said, good afternoon. And he said, that's Carlisle Powell. I listened to your show. I didn't know the man from Adam, but he says that he listened to the show on a regular basis. And so you guys are famous. People know you from all over the place.
Well, okay. Let me say good evening to my family, my brothers and sisters. My sisters even in Judith in Connecticut, my brother Carl in Atlanta, my brother Q in St. Croix, of course, but then my brother Denny in New York with his wife Twilla, my brother Steve in California. Good evening to everyone. If you just sign on to the Facebook, you're not seeing Carla in the chair. I'm here filling in while he does business overseas, but he's on the video feed from Anguilla, I believe. Anguilla, right, Carla?
Anguilla.
Yes, okay. All right, so let's get this thing started. You have your birthday list, Carlisle? Anybody sent in your birthday?
The birthday list this week is short.
Okay.
I'm sure that there are persons who will be messaging to say that so and so and so and so. But the Cicely Parry Hobson over there in Cotton Ground, she is sending out birthday greetings belated to a very special niece, Azalea Lake, who is in Boston. She celebrated yesterday on the 15th, and it's coming from, of course, a very special Auntie Cicely and all the members of the family. And then today, Florida Parry Cornwall, who is one of the Parry sisters, she is celebrating a birthday. Florida, I hope you're still celebrating. And then on the 18th, we have Mr. Carl MacArthur Tuckett, a gentleman from Government Road.
I think so.
He will be celebrating on the 18th. And he will be celebrating away from home because he's here. He didn't come on the same flight with me, but I saw his name on the manifest. So he should be celebrating with the masters here in Anguilla. Those are the people who I have on the short list.
Okay. I didn't see anything, anybody chime in to say we missed anybody.
Okay, Kevin.
Oh, Kevin has the list.
Yeah, Kevin is extending birthday to his sister Tishanette, or Tish. She's celebrating her birthday today, and it's from Kevin, and also their dad Rogue, wishing her all the best on this her birthday.
Okay. I see Ivor Henry saying birthday greetings to his ex-police partner, Mackenzie Baltimore, is having a birthday in the BVI. And so, I see Judy Cornelius will be saying happy birthday to Aunt Georgina Taylor in England. All right. So, I think we are moving pretty rapidly through this list. It's a short list. And I think now we're going to have Carlisle do the birthday song.
Carlisle. It normally takes about 4 Carlisles to make a solo. I need help.
All right, let's go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And as usual from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day, so that we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth. All right. What's our first, Carlisle? Did we lose Carlisle already?
So he'll come back up.
All right. So let me go to the OBS here and see what's first.
I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi, gentlemen, but I'm not hearing you.
You hear me now? Hello? We lost Carlisle again. He's stuck. You seem to be having a bad Wi-Fi connection tonight, Carlisle. He's stuck. He's stuck on the screen. I don't think the engineer can do anything about that. It might be on his end. Anyway, we're gonna continue, and let's see what's up first. Oh, you did that already. No. That was last week. First up, we have a notice from the Water Department here on Nevis that beginning on Tuesday, the 7th, disconnection notices will be going out. The public is asked to take note of that. And what you see on the screen is the water scheduling issue. The Nevis Water Department wishes to advise the general public that the current water rationing schedule has been extended to different parts of the island at different time intervals. Some areas may experience low water to no running water. The published schedule is likely to be altered, and water services can be interrupted at any given time and can be delayed longer than expected. We apologize for any inconvenience caused and appreciate your patience. So, take note of that, of the new water schedule outages. Just said that you ain't gonna get no water. Water is gone. All right? That'd be the safest thing to do. Just take note there will be no water. All right. Sorry. We also have on the screen the new rates for electricity, NEVLEC. Most households that I know use about 125 kilowatts hour. And the new rates are in effect as of May. Actually, April, they're in effect. And you can expect then that you will be paying about 55% more for your power for your next bill. All right, so that's in effect. starting last billing cycle, which was April, sorry, and be advised of that. So when you see the increases in your bill, don't be surprised. Tell me what you say about these increases. What do you think about that?
It's going to be difficult for us, the poor people in our society, and things are already difficult. And then to add this increase to all the other increases will make things even more difficult. But it's something that we have no control over. It is in the hands of NEVLEC and the authorities, and so we'll have to struggle somehow to pay for the services that we are receiving or forego the service. It is unfortunate that at this time it is like that, but then again, the incompetence and the poor management of those in authority, the government, makes this a reality. And so we blame those who we voted for.
And so we are discussing the new power rates that are already in effect, and you can expect at least 55% increase in your bill. So if you used to pay $100, you're going to expect now to pay $150, $155 easily. And so you must be cautious about make sure you have that in your budget. That additional expense that you perhaps did not cater for is now on the books. You now have to walk with extra money to pay NEVLEC. All right? And the question always comes up, why now? Especially in a very difficult time. Why did the government feel necessary to implement such a tax coming on the heels of the increase in water rates, coming on the heels of the garbage fee, and all the other costs at the hospital, the supply office? You just seem to be adding up and adding up and adding up. And the only thing that's happening different, of course, that your increment or your increases in salary is not increasing, not going anywhere. So you have less disposable income. And that is why when you walk to Charlestown in the afternoons or in the early mornings, the place is desolate. People don't have the disposable income anymore to spend. And so you have a situation where money is drying up fast, very, very fast, and people are simply not spending. And without spending, you don't move a capitalist market at all. You just have to just pray that things get better, And, a friend of mine said to me, if the government was going to pay NEVLEC, what they owe NEVLEC. Right now, the government owes NEVLEC over $55 million. And if they only were to pay NEVLEC what they owe NEVLEC, then these rates will not be necessary. But the government is not paying for the street lights. They're not paying for the building lights, the air conditions, anything like that. They're not paying. And therefore, you, the taxpayer, having already paid your property tax, your land tax, your vehicle tax, your business tax, all these taxes, you still have to come back and pay on behalf of the government their taxes that are due to NEVLEC. It just seems to be double dealing. It just seems to be put on the people of Nevis.
Well, it is indeed double dealing on the people of Nevis, but the members of the government has no empathy towards the people. They are doing pretty well, are very, very well. They have creative ways of getting money into their coffers. And so they do not feel what the ordinary person is feeling. And so for them, it is nothing. I mean, perhaps they're even getting some of the utility, maybe at a subsidized rate or maybe free. I don't know. But they're not feeling what the ordinary people are feeling. They're not feeling any squeeze because their bank account is being tapped up every month, not only from their salary, but I believe from other mediums or means of tapping up. And so they do what they're doing. They don't care.
Well, I'm trying to get this. Okay, here it is. Oh, Carla, you're back?
Yes, I am.
Okay, wonderful. We were talking about the rate increases at NEVLEC.
Listen, I saw the change, and I've also had a good friend of mine who is better with numbers and understanding these things than I explain it to me in a spreadsheet. But I am going to have to get my friend to do some further work when I come home so that I'm better prepared for next week. Suffice it to say that these increases are unconscionable, especially in light of the fact when the government can find 5 million to spend on the complex for a couple of days of fun and frolic, and just beating with that heavy steel hammer the poor people of Nevis and just beating the life out of them. We just had an increase in water rates. That is not enough. We're now having an increase in electricity rates. What next? House and land tax? This is unconscionable, gentlemen. And I feel it for all of those poor people who don't have a choice. They are going to, listen, this is one of the hottest starts to the middle months of the year that we have had. The place is unbearably hot. My friend has worked it out so that he told me a 5,000 BTU air conditioning unit would burn so much electricity over a given period, and a 10,000, a 9,000, 15,000, because this is air conditioning weather.
Gotcha.
No, there is no way you can get away from that. You are going to have to use your air conditioning units. But the government is saying, wait, Culturama come in, we tell you spruce up your homes, we tell you make sure you have air conditioning, we are going to put the penalty on you. Because it is hot, you must put them on, especially in light of the people who will be coming home. And since you put them on, we're going to beat the hell out of you. That does not go over well with me, gentlemen, especially in light of the wanton wastage of the government. No government in the history of Nevis has wasted as much money as Mark Brantley, his government, but they are taxing the hell out of the poor people. I don't like it.
It's very difficult to understand, though. Right about now, going into the festive season, you want to put a tax like that on division public. Just drying up the little bit of resources that exist. It just seems heartless to me.
But again, the government wastes so much money, and where the priority of the government lies, it is strange, because while they are taxing us, basically to debt, I saw a team going around painting up the curbs and all across government road, running roundabout and all over. Those things are not necessary at this moment. We survive with them for the last 4 or 5 years.
Why do you think they're doing it?
Well, it's part of their priority of trying to impress people when they come here.
Exactly.
Okay? But while they're spending money on their taxpayers' money on a bid for their re-election, then they still turn and squeezing us. Okay. I mean, when you come into Charlestown and whether they fund it or encourage the painting up of this building and the roofs in Charlestown.
They're doing it. The government is doing it.
Is the government doing it?
Of course.
And so they have money to waste on a roof that is absolutely no good. And one person I went town yesterday.
Well, we got the pictures.
Okay, somebody called me and said to me, look at that. And they pointed out and said, a rat coming out of that building as big as a dog.
The old customs building.
Yes. Rat coming out of that, but yet the government find it necessary to spend money to buy paint and perhaps pay somebody to paint up this. I mean, how much lower they can get?
All right.
It is sickening.
Well, Carlisle?
Yes.
You're hearing me?
Loud and clear.
All right. You want to go to the roof next, or you want to go to the Isaac letter?
No, I want to go to the roof.
Okay,
first.
let's do that.
Because, gentlemen, I couldn't for the life of me believe what my eyes were showing me. I've been coming to town for more than 50 years. I don't recall if I've seen them change the roof at the Cotton Ginnery more than once. That roof is as old, some of it might be as old as my old grandmother who died at 150. But over last weekend, they power washed the roof. They actually paid somebody to power wash the old Cotton Ginnery roof. And when I was there wondering, why the hell they're doing this? Because it's rusty. But it's not the first time that we have seen a rusty building. I came back into town, might have been Sunday or Monday. And to my amazement, the roof was painted green and red. The same old rusty roof for the Cotton Ginnery Mall. So I asked somebody, what's the purpose of painting the roof? They said that is for the people who are coming home for Culturama 50. When they take their pictures, we want them to see a good painted roof. I said, but the whole roof rotten. What is the point of painting a rotten roof to make it look good? They said the people who are coming home won't have the picture of the rotten roof. They will just see a nice painted roof. So what is the purpose? Are you going to do something in the old customs building? Are you going to do something in the Cotton Ginnery Mall? What are you going to do? They said, well, we're just painting it so that it looks good. And it reminded me of when they went and painted the outside of the hospital, the new hospital. Mm-hmm. This government is a look good, feel good government. They don't care if it works. So they're not, listen, some one of their supporters made a whole ton of money to power wash and paint the building. A whole portion of money. I mean, you've seen the pictures, Dr. Daly. Tell me if any of that makes sense.
It does make any sense. And, you know, with such limited resources the government said they don't have, then why waste money on this kind of endeavor to create this image that something good is happening in Charlestown? I mean, to me, if I was a visitor and knowing exactly what is going on, I would be insulted, actually, because you're taking my intelligence for granted. You know, and this is absolutely ridiculous. The roof is leaking. It's all rusted. I mean, there's a quality to a rusted roof. It's a certain a feel good kind of rusty roof kind of feeling. You know, people got those kind of what you call a patina, old metal. They don't want it painted. They just want the natural look. And so these roofs here in Charlestown, they have been like this for a long time.
Forever.
I've never seen them painted, and all of a sudden, the Premier has money. Why don't you go paint Seasport?
But then you
or the Caribbean Cove?
That's the question, Dr. Daly. What happened to the Historical and Conservation Society? Where are their voices? Because we've been hearing that anything you do in Charlestown, you have to put it back to the original state that it was before. How come this administration can come into Charlestown for the very first time in the history of these buildings, put on paint under for them? And I mean, how much law could Mark Bantley as an administrator, head administrator, goes? I have seen him go to some law levels, but this is law than the law.
Well, that is what's happening in Charlestown. The whole town is, at least, perhaps I thought that if they had painted it green, we wouldn't have said anything. But it's just a waste of resources, and people need to call it for what it is. If you go by the Bath Stream, you drive by the Carlisle every day, you see the picket fence around by the Bath Stream. Have you seen it?
And the stonework.
No, understand this. In this environment, how long you expect a picket fence to last?
Not very long.
So why? I mean, again, it's part of the government's approach that cosmetics is better than substance. And so they go build this long white picket fence as if you're in Boston or up in middle America somewhere with this, white picket fences. But here, given the elements that we have here, so rough and hot sun and rain now and then, those picket fences not going to last very long. They're going to last just as long as Culturama will last. Understand? But it is all part of the image reconstruct that the government is endeavoring in to give the impression that the government is in control and the government know what it's doing. But again, I hope people on the diaspora who will be coming home in the numbers recognize what the whole effort is all about. It's all about fooling them into believing something good is happening. And when you try to fool me, I get insulted. Don't try to fool me. Tell me the truth. Things are bad, yes, fine. I can deal with that. But don't try to fool me with with a veneer, with a paint, or a picket fence. It's not going to work.
I went there last month, I think. I took some visitors there to look at the stream. and I was met by someone, and they asked, "What's going on here?" And they said, "This is a part of a revenue generation ploy for the government, that when they finish, persons will have to pay a fee to come in to use the BEAD stream or to visit the BEAD stream." So I asked the person, "So you're telling me that I who is accustomed to be, or was, 'cause I don't go there for a while now, accustomed to come to the BEAD stream and to bathe on a regular basis, would I have to pay to come and use the BEAD stream as usual?" They say yes, because they put the paving stones inside there, and look at people, they have to be cleaning out and pumping out the mass and what's not, and they have to be paid. And so therefore, they will be exacting a toll upon us for the maintenance of the stream. That's what I was told. Would it be a reality? I don't know.
I would like to see the day that I go into the bathroom and they try to charge me. It could be pure hell inside, I'm telling you.
No, it don't be the hell, just turn back then.
No, ain't gonna happen. I would not pay. I will not pay.
Well, let's hope that isn't, but it's just that I was told by somebody who officiates around there. Yeah.
So they put up a fence and I must pay.
That's what we're told.
Okay.
And the visitors will pay a higher toll than the locals. So you might have to pay $1 or...
You intend to pay, Carlisle?
Man, listen, I am building up my bail fund because I don't want to spend too long in the lockup. So I want to make sure that I have good enough bail fund. Because this government, they don't mind taxing the hell out of you. Because Timothy Harris was right, Mark Brantley is a poor spender of money. But he has to get money so that he could spend. He's not a full spender of money. But why do you want to, listen, the image that I have of the Bath stream is more in line with what I saw at the Blue Lagoon in Iceland. Instead of these, keep the small pools that you have. But I really believe that the time has come for us to have a large enough pool to accommodate at least 20 persons. Maybe more. Make it nice and long, nice and big. And something like that, you can say, okay, all right, this section is a special section and it is going to cost. But as it is right now, they don't care, they just charge you. They're just putting up the barricades, as Tulu said, the fences, and doing whatever they want to do. But the intent is to charge people.
I see some small buildings as if they're going to be doing massages or small, consumer shops. You have an idea what exactly is going on there?
I have no idea, but...
Yeah, I was told that some of it is change rooms, I think some bathrooms and change rooms and whatever you have there.
Oh, change rooms and bathrooms.
Change rooms.
You got to pay for those too?
All of that, if you go in the facility and they're charging, you maybe that thing. But that's what I was told. I told the individual, listen, I cannot believe that this will be a reality. And the individual said to me, it will be a reality because there'll have to be some maintenance of the stream, and who you expect gonna pay it? You using it, you pay for it. So it's left to be seen. Let's hope that it will not be a reality to create any disturbance, but I guess the administration would have already convinced themselves that they can do anything and there'll be no problem, no pushback from the people, because this foolishness that they're doing town in painting up these roofs, you haven't heard any outcry from the people.
I don't think they notice. I don't think they have noticed. I see some comments on the Facebook feed about it, and one question, Earl Maskell said that roof is about 25 years old or more. It's time for that to be replaced for it being so close to the sea. Elvis Williams is saying putty and paint makes the devil look like a saint. Hilarina Liber said, wait until the guts run and you will see. Gigi Williams Keith is saying, can't give the civil servants a decent increase, but painting up blasted pieces of metal. God,
leave out those long. Wash out your mouth.
Wash out my mouth. All right, so we're going to take a Kangen water break, our advertisers, and so we'll get back right after this.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
All right, up next, we're talking about the success of BEAD on St. Kitts. And you know, BEAD is now intimately, well, Mr. Rollinson Isaac is now intimately involved with BEAD on St. Kitts. And therefore, he would have been the person who found and delivered the water at Keon. Just recently, you were seeing the pictures of the government celebrating that event. I think Congress Maynard and the Prime Minister and the whole entourage were there celebrating the delivery of that well to Keon. And so Denzel Llewellyn Douglas, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he would have penned a thank you message to Mr. Isaac, and I will read it for those, to benefit of those who are on the FM dial or the Twitch or YouTube. I'll read it for you. He says, special mention and thanks must be extended to Mr. Rollinson Isaac of Keon for his tremendous professional service, contribution, and support to the government, and by extension our people, that today the people of Keon and its environs can have reliable running water in their homes. A project that began a decade ago, stopped, restarted, and now completed. Water is life. Cheers to the government for fulfilling another promise. Cheers to the people of Keon. Cheers to all the workers of the Water Service Department. Cheers to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Powell, what you said about that?
I am wondering if this is the same Rollinson Isaac who the government of Nevis cussing the hell out of. Because if you're saying BEAD, you're saying Rollinson Isaac. They were successful in delivering a major well to St. Kitts to help to relieve the situation in St. Kitts.
Mm-hmm.
What could be so different and so wrong with BEAD and the same Rollinson Isaac in Nevis? Bear in mind that BEAD has a track record. In Nevis, they delivered 1 million gallons of water per day. And those two big wells, one at Maddens and the other one at Fottergills, they are the main wells in Nevis. We are water stressed right now, rationing water. If those two BEAD wells shut down, we would be up a creek without a paddle.
If one.
But listen, the same BEAD that was successful in Nevis and the same BEAD that was successful in St. Kitts, the only difference with BEAD then and BEAD now is the CCM government. Under the Joseph Parry-led government, we had no issues with BEAD. We negotiated and signed the contract. BEAD drilled the wells and delivered water in abundance. So what's the problem? Why is it that they can't do it in Nevis? The big difference is CCM, the incompetence of the government, and the meddlesome nature of the government in not allowing the company to go ahead and do what they have to do. Listen, every time I think about it, and I say, well, St. Kitts got the 2 million, whatever it is, gallons of water per day, I'm happy for St. Kitts. Happy for the people who suffered. But what about Nevis? The difference is the incompetence of this government that we have in Nevis.
And you're absolutely right, Powell, because I could recall.
Congratulations to BEAD.
I don't even bother turning off my pump anymore because it makes no difference. The water goes when it goes, it comes when it comes. And when it do come, the pressure is so absolutely low. If you were to wash a load of clothes, I'm telling you, it takes about a half hour for the machine to fill up. It's just ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. And so my hat is off to Mr. Isaac and BEAD in St. Kitts for delivering to Keon. And I hope that, the company that the Premier said is on its way here to Nevis from Trinidad arrives sooner than later, because he was saying that they are sending the mobilization monies to Trinidad. I hope that he sent them. There's no confirmation he did. But it's a daunting task to think that going into this heat wave, by the way, this heat wave we're under right now is a heat watch, will last until September, October of this year. So going forward, you can expect increasing temperatures going into the summer. We're not in the summer yet. We're not actually in the summer yet. We're still in the spring months. And the temperature is hovering between 35 and 37 degrees every day. By midday, if you are outside, you are cooking in the sun. And so, caution to persons out there. Make sure you're properly hydrated if you're working outdoors, those guys in construction, farmers, fishers. Make sure you're hydrated, because this heat wave will not let up. And the ocean temperatures are rising, and it's giving a lot of fear that this season here indeed will be devastating. This hurricane season will be devastating. And so we have to be really on our P's and Q's in the next few months. Hurricane season starts in June, ends in November. So we have quite a long way to go to get through the season. The steering mechanism, La Nina, is in action. Last time we had El Nino, which moved the storms away from us, steering them out to the Atlantic. This particular steering mechanism, La Nina, the sister, is going to push in storms towards us in the Eastern Caribbean. So we have to be very, very cautious going into this season. You were saying something too?
Yeah, we're going back to the water, because the people of Nevis need to ask Mark Brantley and his administration, why do we have to send to Trinidad a huge amount of money, according to them, for mobilization fee to bring a company in Nevis to drill for water, when BEAD has just delivered in St. Kitts, has a track record of delivering on the island of Nevis? Why do we have to spend that money? And BEAD is next door.
What starts wrong usually ends wrong. When the government came into power, one of the first things they did was put BEAD over their laps and spanked BEAD.
The first thing, the minister who was responsible, his first statement was, he called in BEAD, and the first question he asked the representative of BEAD, give me one reason why I should not terminate the relationship with you.
Good.
This is where they started. They started bad.
Second point, you would have had a contract with BEAD in 2017, 2018 to deliver 3 wells at a cost of $10 million. They would have submitted to BEAD and a mobilization of $2 million. There was no water, there was no well, there are no wells. You took BEAD to court. In court, you have been now saying that you're going to get back 20% of your money, which is $400,000. If you take me to court, why would I want to do business with you?
They would have run and has problem with other person have business. I don't believe BEAD is running.
No, but why would I, if I'm the government, if I'm BEAD, why would I do business with the government who has me in court?
Well, then I will love the Premier to say to me, the reason why I had to go to Trinidad or go elsewhere is because there's an impasse between the administration
But he
and
did
BEAD
say,
that we cannot resolve.
he did say, to be fair, he did say, we are trying to work out a more amicable solution with the BEAD matter.
But then he came back and said that there was a deal and they're waiting for them to get up going. Then about a month later, he comes with a different story.
There was no deal.
So then he lied when basically said, okay.
There was no deal. He was hoping that somehow that BEAD would let down and play dead. Carl Powell always say about these things here with BEAD and court and mobilization from Trinidad and all this nonsense.
Well, first of all, BEAD should have come away laughing based on the arrangements that I heard from the government. If you have a contract with me for $2 million and you sue me and you walk away with $400,000, I believe that I made out better,
Of course.
especially if I collected the money up front. And it shows the amateurish way that this government negotiate contracts. How can you have a contract like that? It just don't make any sense. I wouldn't even bother go to court for that.
But-
I would just walk away and leave that alone.
The people of Nevis have suffered 2 times over because we suffered because we lost out $1.5 million. And now we are suffering again to bring people from a company from Trinidad back inside here. So we have already paid out money. And we're going to be paying out money again.
But let's look at the genesis. Let's look at the genesis. How this whole thing started. When NRP demitted office in 2013, there was a program in place with BEAD, of course. BEAD provided the water. We paid BEAD for the water. The contract expired during the system's time. But rather than expand on what Carl Powell and the NRP did and put in extra wells, they did nothing. For years and years and years, they did nothing. Now, if you listen to what the Met Office, the Caribbean Met Office, has been saying for years, they put out an advisory to all Caribbean governments, especially Eastern Caribbean governments, of a heat wave that will be staying with us because of climate change, unpredictable rainfall, less rainfall for sure, and that Caribbean governments must take this warning seriously and put in the measures necessary to make sure the population has water. Now, we are sitting on vast quantities of underground water, this artisanal well water. The only way we can get to it is by wells. You'd have thought then, having sight of what the Caribbean Met Office said, and have been saying for over a decade, and having sight that the ball has been rolling down the hill with NRP, with BEAD, you would have thought, listen, let us continue rolling that ball down the hill. It's an easy fix. We're not going uphill, we're going downhill. The sites have been identified already. You know Stony Hill, you know Braziers, and the other sites that are potentially holding vast quantities of water. Then it's an easy fix. Roll the ball down the hill and dig more wells. But nothing was done for years and years. When the crisis really got to a point in 2017, they came out forcefully and said they have agreed to spend $10 million on 3 wells. But given how they had been bashing BEAD, I personally did not know that it was BEAD they were in association with. I would have thought, not, it can't be BEAD. Since they were saying BEAD was thieving people money and all kind of things like that. So it never crossed my mind it would have been BEAD. I thought they had some other company lined up, but that wasn't the case. So quietly, BEAD started to do their work on Nevis, and the Premier lied about it because when it ended up in a court matter, COVID struck in the same period of time that BEAD was drilling these wells.
That's the key.
And so they had to stop. The Premier never said that. What the Premier said is that they paid BEAD $2 million. BEAD never showed up. These are his words. BEAD never showed up, and they never dug any wells. And therefore, based on the contract stipulations, the government can only get back 20%, which is $400,000. But he made it as if BEAD was a bad guy, that BEAD did not honor their part of the deal. But what I understand is that what BEAD is claiming is that they spent a large amount of money of that $2 million in actual mobilization, in actual materials and equipment. And so they have nothing left from the $2 million. That is what I'm hearing. And so for the Premier to say that they got no wells, they got no action, they got BEAD, what never came, was not true.
He lied. I told you from the beginning he lied.
Yeah, so it's amazing to me that you have a head of state, a head of government in Nevis, NIA, and all he thinks possible to do is to lie. Lie, and everybody is his fault except him. The pathology of this man is severe. Because if you're going to say, we paid $2 million, COVID came along, because they used to, they still use COVID as an excuse. COVID came along, BEAD was unable to complete the work, blah, blah, blah. I think people will more understand that than to say to people, BEAD never showed up and BEAD was here. BEAD never did anything and BEAD did something.
Yeah.
All right? And so a lot of us, including myself, were taken in because I would have read the court documents where the government would have sued BEAD. And I would have read the contract that BEAD got from the government. And you would think from those two documents that, something nefarious happened, something under the table happened. But BEAD did come, BEAD did work. It turns out they didn't do enough work because they didn't get no water. But the $2 million was gone. What the government did not say is that after the $2 million was spent, they did not continue the negotiations to have BEAD do the work. So remember, it's $10 million contract, $2 million up front, 8 behind. So you would have thought then, okay, if I go to the executives of BEAD and say, listen, we want these wells. You have spent $2 million of the $10 million that we paid you, right? Well, not paid me. You have spent $2 million of the $10 million cost. Can you continue the work?
Please continue.
Please continue the work.
That's necessary.
It's cheaper for us to have you here doing the work than to bring in a company from overseas. You see, to me, Carlisle, that would make more sense.
Definitely would have made more sense.
You hearing this, Carlisle?
Yeah, you cut out a bit, but I'm here. Just one last point I want to make on this before we move on to something else. You look at this and you see the stupidity of the contract that was signed between the NIA and BEAD. CCM led NIA and BEAD. Under Joseph Parry, we had an arrangement with BEAD as well, but BEAD had to eat all of the upfront costs. So you see how they said they spent a whole ton of money and there are no results? That would have been BEAD's cost under Joseph Parry. Because our arrangement was for them to find and deliver 1 million gallons of water per day. And I keep telling people, they hit a dry well at Hermitage. Didn't cost us anything. We didn't pay them to drill wells. We paid them to deliver water. If you drill a well and there is no water down there, or not enough water, or the quality of the water is not good enough, we didn't have to pay for that. Under the arrangement with CCM, they are paying for wells. I've heard the Premier say on multiple occasions, we are paying for 3 wells, and recently he has upped it. It's like, since we can't do 3, let's say we're going to do 9. So they're now doing 9 wells. If I were BEAD, I would want to have a successful well, a well with water. But suppose BEAD drill 3 wells and do not find any water. That would satisfy the agreement.
Of course.
That is true.
They are being paid to drill wells.
Yeah.
Daily, I would take a contract from anybody to dig a hole, especially a stupid person. Because when I finish digging a hole 6 inches deep, you're going to tell me I didn't dig a hole? I dug a hole, you didn't tell me how deep you wanted it.
You're willful.
This government has signed a contract with BEAD to drill wells, not to deliver water. That is the difference.
Yes.
Before we go from water, let me say something here, Dr. Daly, about the release that you read from Denzel Douglas, because Douglas stated that the water project for Cairn started a decade ago. That's about 10 years, right? Mm. In that 10 years, Unity was in government. Mark Brantley was in government in St. Kitts, so 7 of those 10 years. How is it that Mark Brantley, as a senior minister, a senior member of that cabinet, could not have gotten this project continued in St. Kitts, allow, according to him, some other minister to sabotage and whatever because they want to do? But he sat in that government for 7 years, said absolutely nothing, praised the administration for the great and sterling work that they were doing. And then now, after Dr. Drew and Congress comes and progress began, he started to cuss and say, well, is because some minister held it up over the period of time. Why he didn't say anything back then? Listen.
So I'm not too sure if he did say that some other minister sabotage, but what he did say was that the representative for that constituency was in the meeting, and
Okay.
so if the representative didn't do anything, I mean, I take that to mean that he just sat back behind the minister who did nothing. But all of that is rubbish. You're in a cabinet, you see something wrong, you talk.
But remember, you remember Carlisle.
I want to move on to something else, gentlemen, and even I want to talk about iConnect Daily.
Okay.
You know that's where I want to go.
Yeah,
But
you have a picture up?
Before we go there, I just want to say that I learned this evening of the passing of Mr. Lester Blackett.
Wow.
And when somebody like Mr. Lester Blackett passes, you have to pause.
Wow.
Because this is one of those persons who I think was undervalued, underrated, did not get the kind of recognition that he deserved in Nevis for the quality of work that he did. And whether you like Mr. Blackett, yes or not, there is no denying that he contributed tremendously to Nevis, not just as a teacher, but as an engineer at Public Works, but especially in terms of sports. I saw Mr. Blackett play a few games in football. They tell me that I missed him when he was at his peak at Chelsea in St. Kitts. I didn't see him play for Chelsea, but I did see him play for the Charlestown secondary school team, where he was manager, coach, trainer, player, everything. And the little bit that I saw of Lester Blackett always gave me goosebumps. Was a fantastic player.
True.
I saw something earlier this afternoon where the Honorable Joseph Parry said he was also a batsman. I didn't see him play cricket at all, so I didn't know that part of Lester. But in track and field is where he really made his name. It was Lester Blackett and Halstead Byron and Hensley Daniel. Those were the three key people who sat around the table and in the Nevis Amateur Athletics Association and spearheaded the idea of Nevis having the inter-primary competition. A lot of people don't know that, or they know and they pretend that they don't know. But for years, Lester Blackett was the face of athletics on Nevis.
That is true.
And he is one of those persons who inter-primary was his baby. And you know, we're going to have to reflect on how we treat the great people among us. Because sometimes if you don't toe the line, people start making up stories about all kind of different things, and you don't get the credit that you deserve. Well, listen, I am not looking for credit. But I always thought when they were here with this foolish Mundo Track name, that they really ought to have recognized Lester Blackett by naming that track down there, the Lester Blackett Stadium. Not the Mundo Track. Mundo is the maker.
I agree to 100%.
That's Lester Blackett. And I haven't heard anybody give me any compelling reason why it should not be Lester Blackett.
Because, like you said, the hallmark of his existence was sports. I mean,
Sports.
especially inter-primary. He was there planning from day one. Once the sport meet's finished, he already planning for the next year.
Oh, yeah.
I would have had the benefit of his tutelage. I was a student of his back in the 70s for chemistry and physics. He went off to university and came back on a vacation and never left. And so we benefited from that sojourn. And I don't know if he even completed his studies, because by the time I left, he was still here. And he was such a fabulous teacher of sciences. And then, of course, then he would have moved into athletics heavily, track and not so much track and field, but the football. I knew of that and his skill sets in that. But his whole family, you remember the Blackett family, except for the daughters, but the sons were all athletic type. And he has panned out to his nephews in particular. So my condolences to the Blackett family over there in Bath. Of course, he survived by his two sisters, and I think 2 brothers. And so, you know, something special need to happen to recognize the great work.
Daughter, Dr. Daly.
Yes, of course. Of course, he married and has a daughter in Gingerland. And so something special need to happen to recognize the hard work and sacrifices, the selflessness. When everybody's gone home, he's there still packing up. Before everybody gets in the morning, he's there marking the tracks. You know, he was the face of everything called athletics here in Nevis, whether it's at ETW Park or elsewhere. He was just such a person. And then when he moved to disaster planning, I mean, he got excited by storms.
Before disaster, he was at director of communication public works, and he was a very, very good director. I mean, Blackett used to come in. We used to gather for 7 o'clock. Blackett is there before 7 o'clock. A couple of times his mother would have called and said to me, please tell Lester to come home for his breakfast. His breakfast is on the table. His lunch is on the table. He left early this morning, say he's going by the office to come back, and he's not back as yet. Please tell Lester to come and eat something. Lester ain't going home. He got into that office, and he's hiding inside his office, and he's outside running up and down the place, getting things, get together. I said, your mother said, must come home to eat something. He said, okay, take this $20 you run and buy Volin, buy me a piece of chicken and piece of bread and a soda, and buy something for yourself and come up. Me used to love to hear the part because he didn't want anything, but we got along very well, and he was a very, very good director.
Okay.
So he touched every facet of Nevision life, working every aspect of it.
So we're going to touch Kangen again. Here we go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you will never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
All right, we are back. And so, again, we extend condolences.
I want to pivot to iConnect.
Yeah, of course. We, when it was, Carlisle? It was the day before yesterday, Tuesday. Myself and Carlisle had the pleasure of being invited to be guests for the naming and launch of the iConnect, the newest ferry car service to St. Kitts and Nevis. Owned by Tony Vision, Farrell Lawrence, and Mr. Richards, known as Ingi. Those are the two principals in the business. And so Carlisle would have been there to give a toast on behalf of the owners. And the ship is big. I mean, it's massive. You would think that, looking at it from a distance, it doesn't look that big. But when you get on board and you go up to the third deck, and you look down, if you have vertigo or any fear of height, you would not like it. It's high. But it's a magnificent vessel. You have the roll-on, roll-off deck and the first level. Below deck, of course, are the engines and the engine room. And then you go to the first deck, which is the vehicle area. And then you go upstairs if you want to sit in the air-conditioned passenger area. Or you can go up top, the very top, and you get the fresh air as you traverse the waters of St. Kitts and Nevis. A crew that's comprised of both kitchens and divisions. I know two of the persons who are crew members, Mr. Chapman being one and a young lady being the second. And so it is a marvelous idea to move in comfort and safety. Carlisle, you were there. What was your impression of the whole thing?
Marvelous, tremendous. Beautiful, and it's a brand new ferry. It was built for purpose. So that is another thing that you have to look at. The courage of the persons who decided to make the investment, and just the thinking behind the layout of the boat. There is good separation from passengers and from the vehicles and so on, because you have separate walkways. You maneuver your vehicles down here, you walk on the side and go up, and the seating is really, it excited me. The seating area, and the thought of having a sun deck up top for those persons who are coming our way to look some sun. What interested me as well, boy, I think they have about 10 bathrooms on the boat. Is a lot. You know, so it shows that they were just not thinking about the cargo, but they were thinking about the passengers as well. So I want to congratulate both Mr. Lawrence and Mr. My good friend, Mr. Richards. And I know you like to say that both of them are Nivisions. My good friend, Mr. Richards, he's a Nivision, yes, I give him that. But he's a Sinkits man too. You know, so yes. But I want to go somewhere else. Mr. Eric Evelyn, who is the Deputy Premier in Nevis, Eric made it clear that his government stands ready to assist the owners and the operators of the new car ferry, iConnect. I have a suggestion for Eric, for him to take to his boss, Mr. Mark Brantley. If you really want to assist the owners and their new operation in the iConnect, let the boat dock in Charlestown. Save them the extra journey of going around the corner to Long Point. And here is why I will tell you, you should allow them to dock in Charlestown. Not just because the Sea Hustler is docking in Charlestown, but because you should be thinking in terms of people. The operation is all about a people operation. The guys went to the extra length to make sure that they have good facilities on board for passengers. There are no buses running from Long Point to bring people into Charlestown. And I don't want people to tell me that it will develop over time, because they have been going into Majors. My good friend Captain Jones has been going into Majors Bay for a long time. There is no bus service that has developed in the 10 or more years that the Sea Bridge has been going into Majors Bay. There is no bus service for the boats that go leave Orly Beach and go across the waters to Reggae Beach. So I don't want them to tell me, just leave it alone at Long Point. Eric Evelyn, if you really believed in what you said when you gave your address, take a message to Mark Brantley. Let the Sea Bridge, not the Sea Bridge, let the iConnect come into Charlestown and dock at the Charlestown Pier. Because this is not an operation which is going to say, okay, come, you have to line up to get on the boat. Tulu, this thing takes 45 to 50 vehicles. So you don't have to line up. When you come, you drive straight on. So you're not going to be tying up the operations on the pier in Charlestown. People come, they drive straight onto the boat. They're loaded, the time has come for them to depart, they loose the lines and they're gone. But look at what is happening now and potentially will happen to them. I live just a little way up the road from the Long Point Pier. And there is a point that I can go in my house and look down and watch the operations at Long Point. What is going to happen to the iConnect when Tropical comes in? And Tropical, I can't set my watch on Tropical and say that they are going to come in Monday evening at a particular time. I see them over different hours. So when they come in and they're there at the pier, tying up the operations while they load and unload containers, what's going to happen to the iConnect? I am told that this week, when they started the operations, they had to operate from Charlestown because the port was busy at Long Point. What's going to happen when the cement boat is working? What is going to happen when all those other boats are working?
Or the barge.
Exactly. The iConnect will not be able to operate as it should. So I'm saying to Eric Evelyn, he said, listen, we don't have money, we can't help you financially. but we will do everything else that we can to help you. So it is for this reason I am sending out an urgent plea to the NIA through Eric Evelyn, because he was there. He had the microphone. He promised to help the iConnect operation. Go and say to the Nevis ANC Ports Authority, say to your boss, Mark Brantley, Mark, it would be better for all that the iConnect do their business from Charlestown. And when I looked at the schedule that they sent out, they're starting the operations in the middle of the morning, going down to St. Kitts, coming back up, and in the middle of the afternoon, they go down to St. Kitts and they come back up. What is so wrong with allowing the iConnect to board people in Charlestown and for them to disembark their passengers in Charlestown? I don't know if people have thought about it, but when you go to Long Point and you have passenger operations, the Long Point Pier walk alone is disheartening. I have walked the entire length of the Long Point Pier more than once. In a short, it is not short. And those passengers going to have to walk from down there all the way up to the gate, the security gate. And when they reach up there and there is no bus there and there are no buses that service the road from down there to take you up, it is going to be a pain in the tail for the iConnect group. It is going to be frustrating. So if Mark Brantley and Eric Evelyn and the government really want to help iConnect, I suggest that they get in touch with the owners. Everybody know how to find Farron Lawrence. Please give the man a call. Everybody know Captain Ingi. Give them a call and say to them, fellows, come, let's talk. And if you don't want to talk to them, send a message to me, because Ingi is my friend. Send a message so that I could tell him, listen, they're ready to talk to you. It would benefit the people, not just, I'm not talking about the premier. The premier could jump in one of his luxury vehicles and drive from where he lives, down Long Point, and to the iConnect and go to St. Kitts. But what about poor Barefoot Bob, who only got $25 and want to go to St. Kitts? You are telling him that he got to find his way to Long Point when it is easier for him to find his way to Charlestown. Think about it, gentlemen. But they really can help the operation if they were to say to iConnect, do your business from Charlestown. See Hustler do it. Nobody complain with See Hustler. Why not iConnect?
I believe that they heard you loud and clear, and that they are going to make the connection, and that they are going to allow the operation to operate from Charlestown. It's only make more sense, and I believe that they're going to do it. I have faith in them.
Really?
Yeah, man, they don't do the right thing at this time. I have confidence in them that they'll do what is right. I think for in some measure, more than ever, they will want to prove for the first time in their history that they do something that will benefit the people of Nevis genuinely. I want to think that.
I saw Brantley, after the hurricanes destroyed the beaches down there in front of Paradise, move heaven and earth to bring sand from Indian Castle all the way across island to Paradise. I saw his reach out to the owners when the cabanas burnt on the beach. I've seen what he can do for expatriates. He bends over backwards for them. Let us see what he can do for iConnect.
Actually, I believe that I really genuinely believe, for the first time, after hearing all that Carl said, for the first time in their history, that I believe that they will do something to benefit this operation.
Let's
and the
take
people
this
of
call.
Nevis.
Good evening, you want to tell me?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
An observation.
Mm-hmm.
Nevis is a very small island surrounded by the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yet our NIA has ignored and in fact put stumbling blocks for any maritime development. Do you realize that they have to be, I don't know, 20 water taxi boats sport fishing boats, boats in excess of 30 feet in length. There is no haul-out facility
None.
in Nevis.
None whatsoever.
There is no marina in Nevis.
None.
There is no refueling dock in
None.
Nevis
None.
for fishermen. All of these boats. It makes no sense. Why we're a small island surrounded by the ocean? Why aren't we looking at the ocean as an industry? And in fact, rather than assist and encourage, maritime industries are being hindered time and time again. All sorts of stumbling blocks were put in front of the sea bridge when it was started up. It's fascinating. You realize that you can't drive a boat up to a dock and fuel it. You have to put it in plastic drums, spill
Yep.
diesel gas in the water, all of this. I mean, it is madness. They're in NASPA. NASPA is in control of the ocean from the airport, the Vance Amory Airport, all the way to Long Point. You want to put a mooring down, you just want to throw a block in the water and you got a mooring. Anywhere else in the world, you have to rent that spot. It is a source of revenue for NASPA. But instead, our coastline is littered with engine blocks because when the chain rust off and the boat goes, they just throw the next one in the water.
Mm-hmm.
NASPA could be earning a revenue from every single mooring in the water. There is no regulation. And there are no facilities. If you had a haul-out facility, if you had a marina, people with boats wouldn't mind paying to rent a spot.
Okay.
It's extraordinary. It's like the ocean is evil. The ocean is evil and it surrounds the island. Why aren't we looking at the ocean as an industry? We talk about diversifying the economy. You realize that Saga Shipping that hauled all of the aggregate and stuff up and down the islands.
Mm-hmm.
Their head office was here in Nevis. You know that all of their tug captains came from Grenada or St. Vincent, all of their crews, because we in Nevis, encouraged by the government, don't see the ocean as an industry. It's fascinating. You would have thought being surrounded by water, we would be the maritime giants of the Caribbean. We would have a shipping line based in Nevis carrying cargo up and down the island. We would have a haul-out facility to maintain and fix boats. You have a boat, right?
Yes.
You want to haul out. You have to go to St. Vincent or Antigua. You can do it now in St. Kitts, thanks to Reg Francis, somebody with a little vision. And he had all kind of stumbling blocks put in front of him as well. It's amazing. The ocean is a place of industry, and we are ignoring it.
Okay. Thank you, that caller.
Good night, gentlemen.
All right. The call is absolutely right.
Good observation.
I have a boat. Me and my brother and my friend Gus has a boat, 29-foot fishing boat, and the pains we have to go through to refuel and to haul out. There is no haul out point. You have to basically be inventive. Let's take this call. Good evening, you want to tell me?
Good evening, panelists. I just wanted to add to say a bit of condolence for the passing of Lester Blackett.
Okay.
I think both Daly and Carlisle, you guys touched on it, but I just want to add a little more justice to him, because a guy like me was in the midst of him in terms of his returning when he went to Brown. After he ended his studies, he didn't even complete it at Brown. When he came on, as you rightly said, Daly. But what was so significant about Lester? prior to 1976, 77, there about 76, 77. Nobody passed chemistry and physics in high school at all level. It was unheard of for the most part. The sciences in chemistry and physics, we just had a slower passes after he came back and really honed down and really, matter of fact, those subjects were really the subject that people were scared of taking, if I remember clearly. And you remember that.
Of course.
You know, but his impact not just on education, but sports, it was transformative. I mean, I could remember because I was in the midst of a lot of this stuff. When he came back and he took over football, for example, he pretty much took school team from a non-entity to a dominant team in football. I mean, he changed the way we played football in Nevis. Winning championships after championships. He changed athletics, as Carlisle said. And, you know, we had a front seat at this. I mean, marking out the track, the way he did it, he brought a sense of something different from how the tracks were marked out in terms of lanes and all that sort of thing. You know, we never saw that before. I mean, in every facet of sports, he was Mr. Sports here in Nevis. He was of course, Mr. Education in terms of the sciences and what have you. Lester, the impact he had, and an entire generation of kids, I'd say from 1976 going forward, I mean, is tremendous. And we can actually see what he did, how that has transformed Nevis in many ways. I mean, a lot of the folks at the forefront today that are making decisions and what have you, not just in Nevis, but in the outer world, was making difference. People who came out of Leicester classes, the sciences, the discipline in athletics and football, you know, bringing international meets to Nevis. We had our first international meet, I'd say around 1977, thereabout, where we brought track teams from St. Croix and all over, the Virgin Islands and all over. We never had these things done until Leicester came about. So I don't want him to go. The only reason I'm forced to call because I don't want him to go, and his legacy would not be at least etched into our memory. You know, I think he deserves more than that. And you rightly said, Kel, they really ought to, Carlisle, to name that stadium only after him. Because, because he made such an impact, you know, and opening the eyes and taking off the scale off of so many people's eyes who never see it.
I only wish that they had done it while he was alive.
I only wish. And, you know, between you and I had a conversation with the guy who had the sport division here in Nevis months ago, because I realized he was suffering from dementia, and we were having conversations with him and stuff. He was not as, Leicester-like as he used to be. You know, he had dementia, and the word was wrong. And then guys, they were thinking about doing something for him before, and nobody knew he would pass, but at least he would see it for himself and get a sense of what was happening to him in terms of, people are celebrating him before he got to worse. But nothing never happened. So I'm just hoping, that the country and the people and the powers that be in government and those people will do the right thing for him as a great send-off.
All right.
Because he deserved it. He really, really deserved it.
All right.
All right?
Thank you much.
Indeed. Bye-bye.
All right. All right. So we were talking about what the caller previous said, the lack of facilities for mariners to make their lives easier. I can tell you right now, most of us who are in the Charlestown area, there's one spot that you can haul out in an emergency, this upper bath by the Bath stream, that way it goes to the sea. It's not the best place, but it's the only place. There are no boat ramps anywhere on Nevis for boat to haul out. It's very, very difficult. There are no marine refueling points on Nevis. And every time you question, we're considering it. And now, I heard the Premier say the reason why they had to raise the fee or have the $5 fee, departure fee at Orly, is because NASPA is bleeding money and they need to make money. And if it wasn't for the $5 that they charge, he said that NASPA would be, bankrupt. something along that line. But here are opportunities that NASPA can make money, and they're refusing to do so. The mooring is one issue. I had to put down my own mooring. I have 2 moorings, one for the tender and one for the boat. And all the fishers in Bath everybody have their own mooring, and they're all scattered all over the place. They're not the most secure. And when you go down from Charlestown to Pennies to Cotton Ground to Orly and beyond, there are no permanent moorings there that NASPA can actually put in place and have persons rent them. I mean, the marine refueling one is a troubling one. The fact that you have to lug these 15-gallon jugs of fuel to your dinghy and then transport it out to the boat and then offload it. It is unnecessary hardship on boaters. If you're a fisherman, it's a regular occurrence that you have to refuel. The closest refueling point for duty free is on St. Kitts and Port Zante, and so many persons from Nevis to go take a van down, fill up, and come back up. It's cheaper, but the caller is right, and there are no services for mariners on Nevis, as if they are. They're afraid to make the investments. I mean,
but there was an opportunity for that, Dr. Daly, in terms of the refueling. That was a component that was a part of the fisheries.
The fisheries, of course, there was a marine. There was a refueling component to it. Even at Owoli, when I did the first design with Lefco, there was a marine refueling component to it, and so those things were taken out. So anyway,
but it's the choice of the people, because these things were offered to the people. The people had a chance to vote on these things. They listened to both sides. They listened to what all the benefits would have been for the fisheries complex. They listened to the critics on the other side, and they chose to go with the critics. And so we're in a position because we chose to vote foolishly.
But if you have a board, NASPA has a board. It's a statutory corp. You have a chairman of the board. The former chairman, my good friend and now deceased, Joseph Libert. I would have had several conversations with him regarding NASPA's investment in a marine refueling component here on Nevis. And he says, we've been toying with the idea, and we've had some conversations, cursory conversations, but we have not nailed down anything yet. I said, my good friend, if you had a boat that required significant fuel, you would have considered it long time ago. But all those ferry services from Nevis, every single one, every last one, has to refuel on St. Kitts. So Scasper is making the money. All those fishers who have the more fancier boats, like Blackfin and those other guys from over there early, and they go to Port Zante to fill up. Who are they paying? Who's making the money?
Casper.
Scasper is making the money. So when NASPA is saying they are broke because they have not had the vision to do the kind of things that would encourage investment, to encourage entrepreneurship in these things. You go to St. Martin. When we used to go to fishing tournaments in St. Martin, you stayed, you going to just, there's a little, marina right at the end of Front Street. You take Front Street all the way down, and you're right there in the marina. Right? And we used to park there. It's 2 minutes to the hotel walking. You got marine refueling, you got water, you got ship-to-shore power, shore-to-ship power. Everything you needed, right there. And if you stayed and looked at it in the distance, it looked like nothing. Just some piles of, pillars and boat lifts and stuff like that. But it was a full-service dock. I think it's called Tony's or something like that. And you could get reprovision. You had ice. You had restaurants there. You had food, 24/7. It was just. I don't understand why is it that we are struggling with these basic ideas of diversifying the economy, of strengthening the economy. I don't understand why we are having this conversation in 2024. Carlisle, you're there with us? Carl Powell?
He is in a mute zone right now.
He looked like he's frozen.
Frozen. The internet is dropping.
He dropped off again.
But I think one of the things that happened here, Dr. Daly, is because the boat owners, we have so much now, has not put a claim towards the administration about these things, because we have so much boats operating out of Nevis. If the owners and operators come together and go to the government and present a proposal to the government or a protest that we have to go through this process of getting fuel and getting services, I think they will do something else. But if the boat owners, the majority, are comfortable with the
They're not comfortable.
Well, they need to speak out.
They're not comfortable. I can tell you that right now. They're not comfortable.
They need to speak out. They need to write to those in authority and ask those in authority to do something.
Carla, we were asking you your opinion about what the caller said about the government's or NASPA's refusal or inability to imagine their way into prosperity through these different maritime exercises.
The caller is absolutely right. But Dr. Daly and Tulu and our many listeners, listen. People are on boards in Nevis who don't even fit being on a pace boat. They have no ability. They have no knowledge in the areas in which they have been asked to serve. They are simply there because they are good supporters of the party. That is all. They're there to get a paycheck. So you don't think that some of these board members are going to come up with anything imaginative. I mean, who can see that it makes sense to have a fisheries complex in Nevis? Who can see from NASPA that it makes sense for them to sell ice, for them to sell diesel and gasoline for those who want diesel or gasoline? Who can see that it makes sense for them to have shore power and to provide water? But who is going to rock the boat? And then they don't get a $500 a month? Some of them are looking at their bank statement on a particular day every month to make sure that that $500 or whatever it is goes in. Don't expect that you're going to get anything imaginative. It is what it is. When you use board positions to reward party members, this is exactly what you get. There are some people on boards who have no knowledge of the positions for which they have been tapped. No skill sets, apart from being a loyal party supporter. So I'm going to leave that alone and move on. Let me make a correction. There were 3 of those Blackett boys, No, not 3, 4 of those Blackett boys. So there are 3 left. Mm-hmm. So a very observant listener pointed out that you have Melrose, Clyde, you have Clyde, and you have Wilbert.
And Wilbert, yeah.
Yes.
So Lester had three other brothers there with him. So we make that correction. Spoke about the iConnect already. Let me come to one of my favorite topics. Have you been following the progress at the VIP booths up there at the Culturama Village?
No.
Nope.
From the moment they laid out the foundation, I went up there and I took some pictures and I said to a friend of mine, fellas, the layout is terrible because everything is laid out in one straight line and they are not tilted at an angle. You notice?
Yes. Hold your thought, the Carla. We got a call coming in. Good evening, you want to tell me?
Yes, Mr. Daly.
Yes, sir.
Good night to everybody.
Good night.
I want to send my condolences to Lester Blackett family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to let them know we're praying and we're with them. I remember that young man when he used to run high school with Monty and them, especially Mr. Daly, when you had the 4x4 wheeler. He was the man who used to bring the baton in. You remember them days, Daly?
Yeah, of course.
Hello?
Yes, of course.
Oh my God, we're just losing good men. But I didn't know he was ill, eh? Mr. Daly, the port, they didn't have a pump there where the fishers could go and get fuel.
No.
And these vagabond people making people to feel like they're so on par with things in Nevis. But it's like the Nevis in the early 70s. I mean, these things should have done happen. From you build the dock, you was to building you was to thinking that kind of way. You understand, Mr. Daly?
Mm-hmm.
Something wrong. Something definitely wrong. So now so how the fishermen them they gotta pull up the boat when they go and see? No slips there that they could tie on and you gotta use a anchor and put a line on the shore.
Well, when the tourist boat is in, the fisherman's pier, the middle pier on Nevis here, they have to vacate that spot. So they have to go out in the stream.
Right, wrong place, time for you to go, you know. You're like a cancer to Nevis.
All right, brother. Thank you for calling.
Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I was talking about the VIP lounges. First thing, this government don't believe in mixing with ordinary folk. Eh? Once they get in there and they start to feel the money in their bank account, they are VIPs. So at the Mondo truck, they build a VIP to separate themselves from the people. And every now and again, they climb down from the throne, they walk around and they shake a couple hands, and they go back and they sanitize their hands. And then they make sure that they sit in the high office and drink the free rum and eat the free food paid for by the taxes of the poor people. But they're not mixing up with those people. So they're building VIP booths at the village. Now, at the complex, they don't have as many. But look at them. The person who is going to be in the VIP booth closest to the road, and they got to look over the right shoulder. You think they're going to see the stage? No, because those booths were not built at an angle. Anybody with sense would have thought that, hey, listen, if we're building in a straight line and you're putting in partitions, you will have a problem.
You can't stay on the corner.
Angled in building, so that the people closest to Licky Swanston would be a little bit closer to Sadler Hill area, so that they wouldn't have to be looking and being blocked by the people closest to the netball complex.
That's true.
But I leave that alone. They're smarter than everybody else. Let them do whatever they got to do. I gonna leave that alone. They're gonna find out those stupid. They designed that in a little way. I want to look at something that I saw which startled me, and that is a story which broke that Premier Brantley was breaking ground for some luxury villa development.
Froze again. That he's talking about the development in
Yeah, he's frozen.
I said, what's that all about?
Let us see if he comes back. Here's.
Sorry, my internet is not as stable as it should be.
So start again.
Yes. So the Premier decided to go to be a part of the groundbreaking for these luxury villas over by where Coconut Grove restaurant used to be. So I said to one of my top researchers, help me with this matter. Tell me about it. Do some research. And when they did the research, they came up with a name, Katzman. That seems to be the common name which is being brought up. Listen, Katzman, if I remember correctly, and it might very well be the same person, Katzman is the name that also comes up when you look and you see, remember the Premier hired some people here to do some rebranding of NEPA, the Nevis Investment Promotion Agency?
Yep, same people.
But Mr. Katzman was the fellow who was charged with doing that, you know?
Of course.
So he was employed by Mark Brantley to do rebranding for NEPA.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mr. Katzman, he promised, hey, listen, we're doing it in 3 phases. This is phase 1, big announcement and all kind of thing. You know, up to now, we ain't do phase 2 or phase 3. But when my people did some research, the same Katzman name coming up with MSR.
That's right.
Listen, I am getting a little bit worried. because he launched the digital platform phase 1, didn't come back with phase 2 or phase 3, turns up with MSR Media, and then he turns up now as the principal in the luxury resort villas which are being built here in Nevis. And the premier goes over there. He's at the groundbreaking ceremony. But then there is a big event in St. Kitts. And he must have told the iConnect people early o'clock in going, because the program did not have an address by Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis, you know. They had an address by Deputy Premier of Nevis, Eric Evelyn. So he must have told them early o'clock.
I ain't coming.
I am not coming to your event, but I'm going to this thing for this white man in the morning. You and black fella from down Craddock Road, bottom of Craddock Road, Law Street, and I come to your event. I find this to be a little troubling, gentlemen. Especially when you put one and one together. Jesus Christ, you're in the Federation. He go away every 7 weeks for whatever he goes for. This is not the 7th week. So how come he could go to the thing over Coconut Grove for a fella who he hired? And by the way, when he hired Katzman, the lady who was on the beach down there, she wasn't, I think she was up there working too, you know?
Yeah, Maria is one who I understand brought Katzman.
Okay.
Maria Labova.
I find it troubling. I don't know if you guys have been putting one and one together.
Well, I wrote a piece.
Able to put one and one together.
I wrote a piece today, basically itemizing exactly what you've been saying.
Okay.
It was a bit, the story that Brian had put out didn't make much sense. It was not carried by NNC at all. It was on his WhatsApp status of these pictures with Mr. Katzman. And it struck most persons with suspicion that something else is in the ought to be said epistle. And so you start to dig and find out who exactly the players are. You realize that Mr. Katzman in particular, he was hired by Brantley in 2015, 2016, 2017, about 2018, to do the rebranding of NEPA at tremendous cost to the government and people of Nevis. All right? Now, going into the COVID, MSR was actually heading to Barbados to do work in Barbados. But Mayor Motley said, no, we are in lockdown. The resources we do have, we have to keep them for our people. And so they were between the devil and the deep blue sea, what to do. And so one of the principals with MSR at the time knew Katzman and reached out to Katzman and said, listen, we are stranded. We need a home, a safe home. Katzman said, no problem. I got the premier in my back pocket. You know, you guys can come and we're going to work on something out. Almost immediately after coming to Nevis, Katzman would have created a new company called Balance Entertainment or something of that sort, where he used that company now to be the executive producer of MSR films, 6 of the 7 films who have now been executive produced by him. And so everybody's locked over, and the only losers in this are the people of Nevis, because we are the ones, through Brantley, who subsidize MSR. All right, to a lot of money. Some people saying millions of US dollars were paid to keep MSR happy.
So you're saying that this gentleman was brought here by the Nevis Island Administration to do work for the Nevis Island Administration, contracted to
do.
And then while he's here,
he brought MSR.
He started a company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in order to start a company, you have to have a retainer and you have to have a license and concessions and things.
I'm assuming that ought to be done by your good friend. But the bigger picture is this.
So I make money from there, and then I bring MSR in. They brought in MSR.
So you're making money
and
both
then
ends.
I make money from MSR, so I'm making money
all over. But
Wow.
what the story is, the real story, is that what this groundbreaking was not for villa development. It was for the private home of Mr. Katzman. All right. Somehow he convinced the premier that he is going to use new technologies, new materials, and therefore his home will be a showcase for new technologies which can be transferred throughout the region. And so, you know, he sold that idea, branded solid hook, line, and sinker. And so you have Mr. Katzman now enjoying so much concessions. He don't know what to do with them. You know, there's a building concession for first-time builders and navies. Everybody can apply. And you get duty off and a certain amount of duty off for a certain amount of time. That's standard. This so-called villa, you notice when white people are building houses, they're called villas. When black people are building houses, they're called homes. So this villa, all right, Brantley like the term villa, so he gets excited to hear the word villa. So Mr. Katzman Villa, which is Mr. Katzman home, his house, will be, as they put it, a showcase for new technologies and new materials. But it's just a roundabout way of getting something for nothing. All right? So that is where we are, you know. But they have really taken Nevis for a ride through a very gullible, feckless premier who just can't seem to get it right. He doesn't seem to know when people are using him. He doesn't seem to get it that he just been a pawn in these people's pockets. You know, perhaps he knows and perhaps he doesn't care. But the people of Nevis are the ones who have to bear the burden of, one, less taxes from these homeowners because they're not paying anything, because they've managed to convince the premier that concessions are indeed needed for this development. I know people who know Mr. Katzman, and they say he's cheap. He don't like to spend any money. He don't want to spend the taxes. He don't want to pay nothing. And so he got in close to the premier, and he was able to extract, what I understand, considerable concessions from the government regarding this project. And so the other big picture is, why would the premier want to lie about this being a villa development when he knows very, very well that nothing goes so? Why would he want to lie to the people of Nevis to break down the last remaining straws of trust in the government? Why would he lie so openly to say this is a platinum development hotel? I mean, what do you call it now? Villa development. Anybody knows where the land is. I mean, you know that you can't squeeze no villa development in there. It was one building, a restaurant, Coconut Grove, which went into foreclosure. It was sold by the bank. Mr. Katzman bought it. He also managed to get his hands on a piece of land adjoining to that. But these are not big pieces of land. So when you talk about villa developments, that should have been the first red flag. That you're not going to get no comprehensive villa development on that size of land. You know, villa by themselves, by their very nature, you need space around it. It's not a housing project. It's not a what we call it now, affordable home project where everybody's windows are butting against each other. This is supposed to be villas. And therefore, you need considerable space. And anybody knowing the area would know that this is impossible to get considerable space being afforded for villa development.
You ask a question, why would he lie? Now, if he was accustomed to it, telling the truth, then that question would have been meaningful. But is he a person who lies all the time?
Hey, let's take this caller. Good evening, caller. And tell me.
Good evening, Mr. Daly.
Yes.
I have to take you to task now.
Okay.
Mr. Brantley said it's a luxury villa development, right?
Yes.
But he didn't say villas.
Oh, it's villa. Singular. Okay.
Singular. You said you didn't listen to him properly. Okay. The other interesting thing is that whole area there, Nelson Spring, there's a lot of material they're going to throw in there,
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be good for Nelson Spring water, because it'll force the water up into his wells. The water company, they packed that down, so no water going to spring up there anymore.
Yeah, they had quite a bit of material there. Mountains of aggregate. So I assume that is the foundation for the villa development.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something, Carla. Let me ask you something, because you are a mariner. Your son is a famous mariner now. Back to this idea of NASPA dropping the ball when it comes to marine development. What do you contribute this? What do you contribute this omission to?
It's beyond my imagination. It makes no sense at all. There seems to be a ingrained fear of the ocean and anything to do with the ocean. Nevis used to have mariners. I mean, you had the lighters. They had a famous Captain Cat. I remember a Nevis lighter being sailed full to the gunnels with concrete blocks to develop St. Martin. We used to go up every week to St. Martin carrying blocks up there. You had boats like the Effort. You had Mr. Skeeter's Tried. You had the Hercules at one point. But it's like for some reason the ocean is evil, and nothing, and they don't see it as a source of revenue. They won't allow private sector. I mean, the Seabridge wanted to put a fuel dock down there, and they were blocked. Okay.
Any particular reason why they were blocked?
Is there a need for a reason? Maybe it was going to make it too convenient for fishermen and mariners, and it's almost as though they actively discourage maritime industry. It's not that they actively discourage it. You had marina projects that get blocked. You have you look at St. Kitts. St. Kitts now has 3 marinas. Okay? In fact, 4 if you consider New Guinea. And Nevis has 0. And if you look at the water taxi industry, we have the boats. The working boats are all Nivision.
And that's not only the water taxis, but the ferries from Charlestown, except for the one from St. Kitts. All of them are Nivision businesses.
Yeah. And we have no facilities here. So all of the Nivision-owned businesses, if they want a marine service, they have to go to St. Kitts Strait. It's insane. It makes no sense at all. It's beyond logic. And so St. Kitts, the government and SCASPA are benefiting from the maritime industry owned by Nivision, operated from Nevis for Nivision. Why aren't we making the money here in Nevis? Why do we want to export the money over to St. Kitts?
And then talk about a diversified economy. Okay.
And then ball for fair share when done.
It's easier to ball. Thank you, caller.
Part of it, Dr. Daly, is a lack of vision, a lack of understanding. There's nobody in the NIA that understand marine life, marine relations, what they call the blue economy, and what they have absolutely zero clue as to what is taking place. And then when you have a person like Janice Daniel, who knows this thing inside out and make proposal and suggestions, rather than sitting and calling and asking for advice, they chose to criticize and to condemn. And so they're in that slot. I also believe that if they saw it as a way that they can personally benefit, they would have been invested in it. It is clear that this administration only truly invest in things that benefit largely members of the administration.
Okay.
It is very clear.
All right, we're going to take a look at this.
I gather he was taken by air ambulance today to Trinidad. On my way here, I did try to check to see if they all had gone well and they'd arrived safely, but I didn't get an answer by the time I got on air. But certainly I want the family to know.
Daily me had to laugh because the man said he had lost his phone and he was off social media. But on his way to the radio show, he checked. I wonder what he was checking. He was checking on his GPS. And what he was using to check on his GPS.
You can't make this stuff up, man. You really can't. So, we're talking about the young gentleman.
You don't know when he's lying and when he's telling the truth.
That's the truth.
Listen.
There's another one here. Listen to this one.
Incidentally, let me see if I have it here, because I think it's important that I mention it as I'm talking about the work that the ministers have been doing. That the good people of St. Paul's, Minister Brand is having a massive cleanup in St. Paul's, and he's doing that. It's the 4th annual Whit Monday cleanup. It's Monday the 20th of May. He's already advertising it now. Monday the 20th of May from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. He's having a white goods cleanup.
Again, Carlisle, the man say he lost his phone.
And he bent down and he took up his phone.
And bend down and take up his phone. You can't make this stuff up.
He lost his phone. He got a new phone and were able to transfer all of the.
No, sir. He never told us that.
I'm just saying that he lost his devices. He lost the devices. He was able to purchase or receive new devices and were able to retrieve all of the information that were on the old devices to the new one. I don't know if it is possible.
Follow you walk in a good path. You always follow your Bible and the scripture. You walk in a good path. But you go ahead sin your soul with the devil. And you end up ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's not sinning the soul. It is giving persons the benefit of the doubt. Okay? I'm just looking at all the possibilities. But the issue that I have here is the second clip. Because he's touting Spencer Brand, white goods cleanup, as something like it's innovative. This is something that was done under Joseph Parry administration. This is something that was the brainchild of Carlin Lawrence. And so, picking up white goods is nothing new. It is a program that was stopped under them after whatever happened on Carlin Lawrence either left or was forced out. And so coming back and revive it, be honest, and so that it has started again, but it's not unique to Spencer. It started under NRP. The Minister of Health was Hensley Daniel. The manager of solid waste was Carlin Lawrence. I remember on Choice Radio, she and Curtis Morton had a program, I think it was every Tuesday morning, discussing the matter of garbage collection and this white goods program and all of the programs that they had in place for solid waste. And so this is a bit troubling and dishonest to give people the impression that this is something that started under Spencer Brand. No.
No, well, we all know that. But the idea was to show people in these two clips the lying nature of this man who said that he lost his device and had no access. But time and time again, he demonstrated he did have his phone. Let's go to the phone line. Good evening, caller. You tell me.
Mr. Daly,
Yes, sir.
we are down here in Bastille hearing some sad dilemma news concerning the court.
What's that?
Jasmine Clark, she being victimizing, you know. Man overneath is trying to victimize her. I wondering to myself if it's because she got a kid for Victor J. Martin. Why these things got to happen?
I haven't heard.
All of a sudden, the premier already see it fit to harassing God to bring Yasmin to Bastille? What are they trying to do to people?
I
It's
don't
a
know.
big talk in Bastille. Big talk because people knows about it. And I know she was doing a good job because she's a no-nonsense council. And it's sad. It's very, very, very sad. One more question, Mr. Daly. We had a problem with that down here, you know, and he had a guy named Keith Phillip. You know him. He used to work in Nevis a lot of years. And when they estate, he was managing Port Zante for at least a good 17, 18 years. And he's who had to put on one temporary to accommodate the officials. What's wrong with these young boys? When they go to university from, they're on a foresight, and they always feel they can run from the public. Who can bring ideas to them and guide them? Mr. Daly, have a good night, and keep bowling like Andy Roberts said.
Okay,
Have a
man.
short one.
Thank you very much. All right. Gentlemen, it's 3 minutes before the hour of 10 o'clock. So, closing statements. Carl, I'll start with you.
First of all, we keep following Kevin Wood. And I understand that he has had an operation. I hope that he continues his recovery nicely. And I just want to congratulate and thank the staff and the students and the parents of Nevis Academy, because I'm told that they handed over a little over $4,000 that they collected on behalf of the staff and the parents and the members, the students who did the collections. They handed over that money to Kevin's father this week. So, and I know other schools are doing stuff, because there was a game at the park last evening between Ivor Walters and the Wendell Wallace Cricket Academy, and those funds were going towards Kevin's recuperation as well. I want to congratulate all of those persons who are doing things. Something that is troubling me though. I listened to some clips of the Premier, and he said that the cabinet had met and, you know, they are going to make donation, but they don't make any noise when they do things for people and a health, whatever. But I remember that maybe he said that about health, but anybody remember that they gave a check for some small amount of money to Africa, and they took a picture and had it all over the media? With the Premier must be changed if he say he stopped doing them kind of things. But I don't know. If you tell me walk around, I don't have any great belief in him. I want to say though, finally, I noticed that there was an official document coming out of Grenada where they cited that they had made for the first time over $1 billion in 1 year from the CBI program. And they showed you the increases, how much they made per quarter, and so on. And when I looked at that, I said there is hope for us in St. Kitts Nevis. Because Dr. Drew went into office making a whole ton of noise about CBI. So I thought that he was going to tell us the CBI fund makes X amount of money per year on average. Grenada has published the numbers. They're saying in 2020, I think it's 23, that they made over $1 billion. Where Dr. Drew, tell us how much we make in St. Kitts Nevis now. I believe our people are not stupid. We can count and we can reason. Tell us how much is in the fund. Every prime minister from Sir Kennedy Simmons coming up the road to Dr. Denzel Douglas, to Dr. Timothy Harris, to Dr. Drew, all of them have believed that the people of Nevis should not know how much is in the CBI fund or how much the CBI makes per quarter or per year. The people in Grenada have said that that is rubbish, and they have published their numbers. And there's a nice long article. I am looking forward to Dr. Drew telling us. I don't want to wait until he's out of office for Dr. Jeffrey Hanley to say he did not know, because Mark Brantley was in the cabinet with Tim, and Mark said he did not know. All of us should know how much is in the CBI fund. All of us who should know how much is made per quarter, per year. just giving people $500 or $1,000, thinking that they're going to hush them out is not enough. Let us be open with the numbers like Grenada. Thank you very much and good night, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you very much, Tulu.
Where do we go from here? Let me thank all those who would have contributed to the fund for Kevin Woods and the family as they go through this difficult circumstance in their lives. Then also reach out to Vernice and the rest of the Blackett family and the passing of Lester. Indeed, we have lost another good man, and it's a part of the process of life. And then let me close out by saying that age has a way of changing us. And I believe somewhere along the line, I'm hoping somewhere along the line, that the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, will come of age when he decided that, make the decision that I'm going to stop practice dishonesty and start to be honest. Some people may say that as far-fetched, but like I say, age has a way of causing us to slow down and to reflect. And I hope that sooner than later that he will make that transition in his life and come to a realization that it's not all about him. It's about us collectively. And when he tried to live a life that demeans, belittle everybody else in order for him to be at the top. Someone says, be careful how you treat people when you're climbing at the top, sir, because you're going to meet them same people when you fall off the ladder coming back down. And so, good night to all our fans and listeners and supporters and critics alike. Looking forward to be back with you, Lord's willing, another occasion.
All right. I will just close out by saying that we need to shine a bright light of scrutiny on NNC. Something nefarious is happening at NNC. Something deliberately nefarious, something underhanded, undermining is happening at NNC. And we need to get a handle on it. NNC has now become the mouthpiece of the Premier's office. The Premier's office. NNC has now been usurped or embedded in the Premier's office. What I'm hearing is very disturbing. We've had we've had the notice that NNC is now under the purview of my good friend Keith Scarborough. He's now the manager or CEO or what do you call it, NNC. What can you say? Furthermore, I understand that the Premier intends to or have already injected another person from Caymans who worked on his campaign from 2013 until the last election in 2022, have now or will intend to insert that person inside of NNC to basically create the videos, the graphics, the talking points of a political campaign. And so we are seeing the erosion of our what should be a democratic and free organization of NNC by the Premier. Now, these we will be paying particular attention to, because if these things are indeed true, they cannot persist. If indeed the Premier is using his campaign advisors, political advisors from the Caymans as part of the NNC team, we all know that an election is looming. It is clear that he's preparing for an early election next year, and so we'll be reporting to you, the people of Nevis, whatever underhanded scheme that the Premier thinks he can get away with regarding NNC, regarding having used the public funds to quietly fund his campaign. If these things are true, and we will find out if they are true, then we will bring it to you. You are the final arbiters, the final judge and jury in whether this government continues or not. I can guarantee you the Premier will turn every stone he will turn every corner to ensure that he continues in power, because once he loses, he knows he'll be under full investigation for the things he have done to the people of Nevis that has benefited him and his friends and his cronies. And so he's setting the stage, from what I understand, for an early election next year. He's setting the stage to make sure that he has the right PR. And you see him already doing things around Charlestown to beautify Charlestown and give people the impression that something is happening. But I'm telling you to keep your eyes open. Watch NNC very closely. Watch the play at NNC. See who is in charge and what they're doing. And we will see how that pans out in the future. Good evening. God bless. We'll be back next week, Thursday. Carl will be back in the chair, and I can sit back in my easy chair and enjoy the show along with you guys. God bless, and see you on Saturday on Target. All right. Good night, Carlisle.